Welcome to the Thesis and Dissertation Seminar Series. There are 3 parts to this series. In Part 1, we will look at the graduate college requirements. In Part 2, we will look at the submission and review process. And in Part 3, we will look at the writing support. In this seminar, we will talk about preparing and submitting your thesis or dissertation and the review process. First, we will look at the required and optional components. Then we will look at some common problems, and last, we will look at the final steps after your initial submission to ProQuest. 5 of the thesis or dissertation sections are required. They are the title page, the table of contents, the abstract, the body of manuscript, and the reference, works cited, or bibliography. All other parts are optional, including the dedication, list of figures, list of tables, list of symbols or nomenclature, acknowledgments, and appendices. Next, we will look at some common problems. The paper size should be letter, or 8.5 by 11 inches. Margins should be consistent throughout your dissertation. The minimum requirement is 1 inch on all sides. White space is another important aspect to check. There should be no blank pages. There should be no more than a quarter blank page, except in these 3 cases: the end of the chapter, a figure or table section at the end of the chapter, or a figure or table on a landscape page. For the title page, be sure to replace all highlighted items with your details. Do not change anything else. There are 2 places to add your name. The first is after the title, and the second is in the copyright statement. Make sure that these 2 names are identical, and the name that you use on your thesis or dissertation should match your name in Workday. Your name under the title should be bold. However, your name in the copyright statement should not be in a bold font. Be sure to change the year in the title page. The year should reflect the year you graduate, not the year you started writing your thesis or dissertation. Now look at the committee section. In cases where you have co-major professors, list them both as co-major professors instead of one as a major professor and the other as a co-major professor. Line spacing is important for the title page so that everyone's title page looks consistent. The title page has different line spacing for each section. If you are not using the thesis or dissertation template, be sure to match the line spacing with the sample from the template. The graduate college templates include self-updating table of contents sections formatted to meet the graduate college requirements. Level 1 headings are double-spaced. Level 2 and lower are single-spaced. Page numbers are aligned with the right margin. Heading text should not overlap with the page number column. Manually add a line break if needed. Text in the table of contents should not have bold or italics attributes. If it does, reformat the heading in the body of the manuscript using the built-in headings styles, then update the table of contents. When you export the file to a PDF format, errors may appear in the table of contents. Be sure to correct these before submitting the file to ProQuest. For the list of tables and the list of figures, ensure that both the word page and the page number column are right justified. Also, avoid long captions in your list of tables or list of figures. You only need the first sentence, not the parts that explain the components of the figures and tables. If you have long captions, truncate your captions in your body of manuscript. Captions longer than 1 line should have a 0.5-inch hanging indent. Captions should be single-spaced with 12 points of space below. Labels and captions should not have bold or italics attributes. Next, we will look at tables and figures. The font size for table and figure captions can be different from the text, but make sure that they are consistent throughout your thesis or dissertation. Format attributes such as alignment, spacing, bold and italics, and placement of captions above or below tables and figures should be consistent. Figures and tables should not overlap the page margins. If a landscape orientation is needed for a wide table or figure, the page number needs to appear in the same position as it does for a portrait-oriented page. If a table or figure extends onto the next page, write the word continued in the table or figure caption on the second page. There are many formatting rules to monitor. To avoid the common formatting mistakes, it is recommended that you use the thesis or dissertation template. Templates include a title page, headings for required and optional sections, automatic table of contents, list of tables and list of figures, and sample content. The Styles Gallery is customized for Iowa State University theses and dissertations and includes styles for all heading levels, body text, figure and table captions, and reference list items. The Graduate College has separate templates for traditional theses and dissertations and those that incorporate journal articles. Masters of Fine Arts may use the non-traditional template. Traditional and journal article templates are also available as LaTeX templates in Overleaf. The traditional format is for a thesis or dissertation that does not include any journal paper. The first chapter is Chapter 1, Introduction, and the last chapter is Chapter something, Conclusion. The number of chapters in between the introduction and conclusion is up to you and your committee. Also, the references and appendices are included in this order at the end of the thesis or dissertation. The journal paper format is for a thesis or dissertation that includes published journal articles or chapters that may be submitted for publication. For the journal paper format, the first chapter is Chapter 1, General Introduction, and the last chapter is Chapter something, General Conclusion. These two are the required chapters. The number of chapters in between the General Introduction and the General Conclusion is up to you and your committee. Each journal paper or manuscript is a self-contained chapter that is complete with an abstract, introduction, figures and/or tables, references, and appendices. Author names and affiliations appear below the chapter title. Unlike the traditional format where the references and appendices are placed after the final chapter, the references and appendices in the journal paper format are included at the end of the respective chapters. If your thesis or dissertation involves human participants, you will need to get an IRB. Include your IRB approval letter as an appendix. If you work with animal research or research involving biohazards or radioactive materials, you must also check with the Office of Research Ethics. If you have a shared consent form for a co-authored chapter, the declaration page, not the signature page, should be included as an appendix to the respective chapter. The Graduate College does not prescribe a house citation style for references. They can follow MLA, ACS, APA, IEEE, or any other citation style. The format attributes for the template's references style are single-spaced with 12-point below, 0.5-inch hanging indent, and keep lines together. Starting in spring 2025, the Graduate College requires certain digital accessibility features to be included in the theses and dissertations. The thesis or dissertation title must be entered as a document property. Figures must have alternative text descriptions. Tables must have a designated header row. Headings must be formatted as bookmarks to enable section navigation. Instructions for meeting these requirements with the Microsoft Word template are provided by the Center for Communication Excellence in video tutorials. The best practice for LaTeX users currently is to remediate PDF files in Adobe Acrobat. Part 2 of this series continues in the next video.